We have Coach Payne from the University of Colorado. If you have a question for Coach, please raise your hand and we'll have a microphone brought to you, but we'll start with an opening comment from Coach.
I mean, as soon as we walked in the building, everyone said, "Welcome to Iowa City," and I just keep saying we're thrilled to be here. We're just very excited, to be in Iowa City, to be playing an NCAA tournament, to have an opportunity to play a great team like Creighton. We just are really, really excited and honored to be a part of it. Our team is ready, and we kind of feel like, all right, it's time to get going. It's time to play. So we're happy to be here.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Susan, up front. Yes, you do. Thanks for the reminder.
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. Your team was the last undefeated team, and then you lost to Stanford in a close game. But then you guys lost 6 of the next 7. And
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could put your finger on what happened there and then how you were able to pull out of that.
Yeah. So that stretch, so following the Stanford game, we had a game added in the middle of the following week that we weren't necessarily expecting. That was sort of added last minute. Went on the road at Oregon State, lost in overtime, then immediately went to Arizona State, lost in overtime, games that we really felt like we should have won. But I think when you couple a team that had tremendous success early and then all of a sudden you have 2 heartbreaking losses on the road back to back, then you're at number 10 in the country, 2 days later. I think it just sort of jumped on our back, as far as we were great and then struggle, and how do we recover from that? And so I think, during that time after we did lose several of those games, we were very self-reflective in what can we do better? We know we're better than this, but what are we going to do about it? We have a very veteran group, and our upperclassmen did a great job of making sure that we weren't pointing fingers, we weren't placing blame anywhere that it shouldn't have been. And we took, as I said, a very self-reflective look in what can I do better? What can I do more effectively? And I think when our team did that is when we really started to improve. And I think, we just have a selfless group that really, bought into that mindset, and that's how we were able to, get back on track again.
Up front.
Brian Howell from the Boulder Daily Camera. Coach, you guys have had a couple days of practice now. I know last week was all kind of focusing on yourselves, an off week, but the last 2 days, how have they been in practice, and how do you feel like this team has kind of responded to the moment?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, I think our team's really excited to be here and excited to play in this tournament. It's just such an interesting thing to all of us, to go through Pac-12 play where, the scouting reports are locked in, we do all that stuff, but they also kind of sort of know everybody, in our conference that we're going to play. And so this is just a very unique experience for our ball club to all of a sudden have to learn an entirely new team, an entirely new conference, an entirely new style of play. It's just all very different than what we're used to. So our team has been very cerebral, very locked in on trying to learn and understand who is Creighton, who is number 31, who is number 2, and so I think they've taken a very business-like approach to our preparation, and our staff has done the same. But it's been a great couple days of practice. We haven't practiced here yet. We'll do that in a little bit. But I definitely think we're kind of zeroing in our focus where it needs to be.
Susan?
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. Could you just describe Maya Hollingshead's game? She seems to be kind of the prime mover offensively for you guys.
Yeah, I would describe, Maya's such a neat young lady from a personal perspective and also from a basketball perspective to see the way that she has grown and blossomed during her time at the University of Colorado. Her game has blossomed just as much as she has, as a young woman. But I would describe it as versatility. I mean, she's the only player in the Pac-12 conference that leads her team in scoring, rebounding, and three-point shooting, and so she can do a little bit of everything. She runs the floor. She can, finish inside. She can shoot the ball at a high clip. She does a lot for us, and has taken a lot on her shoulders just being a fifth-year player and someone that, she knows that we rely on to do a lot of different things.
And back.
Seth Pringle, Colorado. Coach, is there a conference comp to Creighton, or like how do you match up, or how have you game planned so far?
Yeah, not really. Creighton is a very unique team. I think across the country, they're a unique team, and they're really, really good at what they do, you know, and they're different than, you know, the teams that we've played in our conference. The closest similarity would be Utah, because Utah also shoots the ball really well and has a lot of versatility in their lineup. You know, and so our preparation has been very much detail oriented, you know, like shell drill. To guard Creighton, you have to be excellent in your fundamentals. And it's not as much what they're running, it's how they're running it. And so we've really prioritized those things. And but it is a new look for us. It's a different look.
Jeff on the right.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Expecting, a sellout for Friday, probably
Yeah.
a sellout for Sunday if you
Yeah.
happen to win that one too. Have you seen any atmosphere like that throughout the season, Pac-12 or otherwise?
Yeah, our conference draws really well. You know, so at Oregon State, we'll play in front of 9,000 to 11,000 people. Oregon, the same. Arizona, the same. You know, there's a lot of teams in our league that draw very well. So, 14,000 is different than 9,000. I don't know if all 14 will be here for the early game tomorrow, but it'll be a great crowd. And I know that this community loves basketball, you know, and so they're not just Iowa fans, they're basketball fans. So I know that there'll be a great crowd, but we just have to make sure our communication is where it needs to be in a loud arena like this, but not super different than some of the arenas that we've played in.
Up front, Brian.
Coach, Creighton's a really good. I think they're one of the better teams in the country in not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys are one of the better teams in getting turnovers. So,
Sure.
do you guys have to try to be careful with your defense as far as maybe not being too aggressive and fouling, or like how do you kind of game plan a team like that that's been so good at not turning the ball over?
Yeah, I think at this point in the year, everyone sort of is who they are. You know, Creighton is not a team that we're going to be able to come in and turn over, 25 times. That's just not going to happen. They're too experienced. They have too many veterans, and they consistently take care of the ball very well. I think we just are focused on doing what we do well. You know, we need to play with high hands. We need to make sure we communicate, on rotations and things like that. But if we can force turnovers, awesome. But we're not going to have time to change who we are, in 48 hours. Neither are they. So I would expect we will work to be aggressive. I would expect that they will work to take care of the ball like they always have.
We have time for a couple more questions if there are any. Up front, Brian.
Just one more for you. Your first season here ended in this building in the WNIT against Iowa. So
Yeah.
Do you draw upon that experience at all as far as what it might be like as far as atmosphere?
Yeah, I remember years ago that I think it was the Sweet 16 of the NIT against Iowa, and they were really good, and it was a great atmosphere. I mean, this is what college players and coaches want to experience, this type of atmosphere. Like I said, this community loves good basketball, and so I don't know that we don't have any players on this year's team that played in that environment, but I think we draw more from last year's postseason experience where the crowd was still pretty good, and we hadn't played in front of anybody all year because out west we didn't have fans all year, and then all of a sudden, we had fans, and that was a fun environment. But we're just excited again to play in front of a great crowd and play a great team like Creighton.
Okay, seeing no other questions here or on Zoom. Coach, good luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
A reminder that a recording of this press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. We'll be back here shortly with the Colorado student athletes. Thank you. A reminder again, for those of you that just came in, please have your cell phones on silent or vibrate. We have Maya and Peanut from the University of Colorado. We are missing nameplates, so we'll have them each introduce themselves before we get started, so we know, so you all know who's who.
I'm Peanut Tutele.
Okay, questions for the student athletes? Please raise your hand and wait for the microphone to get to you. Susan?
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. You guys won your first 13 games and then lost to Stanford, and then had a kind of a losing streak there. How were you able to sort of pull yourselves out? I mean, that had to be kind of a big shock. Were there certain things that you tried to do differently on the court, off the court?
Peanut?
I think we just try to come together as a team in practices and talk about it and, really take action into what we needed to work on instead of just saying things. So I think, it really came down to practicing and relying on each other and fighting the adversity as a team rather than individuals. So I think that's what helped us get out of that slump.
Maya, you have anything to add?
But I mean, I'll just talk. You all can hear me. Just really watching a lot of film, seeing what worked in the beginning, and going back to that. Not really trying to do anything new or try to change anything per se. There we go. Just really trying to.
Oh.
It turned off.
But really just watching a lot of film, learning from our what we did well, what we didn't do well. Our strengths, our weaknesses. I won't touch it this time. But yeah, just a lot of film sessions.
Up front, Brian?
Brian Howell from Boulder Daily Camera. Can you guys talk about 8-2 in the last 10 games? How are you playing compared to that 13-0 stretch? I feel like you guys are playing as good or better than during that stretch?
I just think we're playing more as a team. We're coming together. We're communicating a lot more. We're executing defensively and offensively. And I think we just bought in 100% into the coach's, blueprint. And I think that's led a long way. And we're also watching a lot of film and understanding and growing in our IQ.
Going off that, definitely valuing that and valuing the time that we have together, knowing where we're trying to go, knowing that every game matters. And I think just simplifying it to just taking it one game at a time, I think helped our chances a lot better.
And back left.
Corey Lopez, Buff Sports. Quite a journey for both of you guys. I know you guys haven't been on the court yet practicing for the NCAAs, but can you kind of sum up what it's been like rolling to this point? I mean, you've taken this program to new levels.
I just think it's been a very long journey. It wasn't easy. We all went through a lot of adversity together. We were probably Coach Jay's and their staff first class coming in. So, they did a wonderful job building us from the ground up. And I think Maya and the veterans, we worked really hard together as a unit to grow the culture and to grow the program. And I just think, I wouldn't replace the journey with anybody else. I wouldn't want to go through it with anybody else. And I think it helped us also grow into young women that we are today.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of years. Coach Jay and I talk about this all the time. I've been here since all her years here except for one. But just having that vision and plan early on when we came on our visit and, just believing in what she talked about and just really having a future with the Buffs and just trying to take the Buffs to, new heights, new levels. Just looking at what they've been able to accomplish in the past. We wanted to put Colorado back on the map of being, that national championship stage. And, this is what, kids dream about, playing basketball, coming to the NCAA tournament and just, doing big things. So hopefully this is our first step and a great first step for the future Buffs that follow us after, we leave and we graduate. But just to continue that culture and, journey that we've laid the foundation with.
Front right, Susan.
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. You talk about the journey since you were her first class. Tell me what you saw in the program that that gave you the thought that it could rise again?
I just remember my very first phone call with Coach Jay, and I probably will never forget it. Just she told me about a vision about rebuilding, and that's what I've always wanted to be a part of. I know a lot of other athletes want to be part of big names, big schools, but I want to be a part of a program that's rebuilding a program for future generations because, I'm part of that's like who I am. And so I believed in the coaches. I believed in what her future was for the Buff women's basketball team. So I just went off of that. And, look where we are now. So kudos to the coaches.
Yeah, my story's a bit different. My younger self not really having any awareness of anything, just, living in the moment, just as they described it, a deer in headlights. Just had that, first conversation with them. It was like I was talking to, one of my friends. It wasn't even like they were trying to recruit me for real. But it was just I was like, okay, I talked to Coach Jay, I talked to Coach T, and we had a long conversation. And when I first got to Colorado, I had no idea who they were, what conference they were in, what kind of teams they played. But after coming on my visit, they were my first official visit, and I committed on my visit. And just seeing how they were, because family's a really big deal for me, just because I come from a family-oriented background, and just seeing how they were with their players, how they were with us, just how they just carried themselves on and off the court. A lot of coaches like to play this facade of who they can be, but not who they actually are. And I think they've been true to who they actually been since the first day I met them. So it was real easy to make that decision and to believe in their plan.
I think also building off of Maya, she said, it's very family oriented. The coaches treated us as humans rather than objects and players that can fit their puzzle. So I think that's really why I came here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Up front, Abby.
For both of you, I know it's such an accomplishment to get here, and you guys have been, not only for this program, it's been 9 years, but for this group, it's been such a long journey to get to this point. And Sunday was a celebration, but the last couple of days, how has this team been able to shift to, all right, it's business, let's play basketball, we got a game to win on Friday. Do you feel like you guys have been able to do that and focus on Creighton?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's all a lot to do with our veterans. We've done a really good job, making sure that the team is focused on what's at hand and taking it one game at a time. So I think, us veterans, it's our job also to do that because we know what it takes to be prepared as we can for Friday.
And outside of our veterans, holding each other accountable as players, our coaches echo it all the time. Okay, we can celebrate on Sunday, we can do that, enjoy the moment. But once we get there, it's time to focus on Creighton. And since then, we've been dialed in on the scale, what they do, what they don't do, and just things that we need to do to execute the game plan in order to beat a good team like Creighton. And I think we've taken that into account and just treating it like we've done in the past to, move farther than where we want to go.
Any other questions? Susan?
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. Can you tell me what your impressions are of Creighton, what you've seen on film, and what are the kinds of things you guys are going to have to do well?
Well, first thing is they're really good at shooting three-point ball. So I think we needed a really good job of defending the three-point line, and they made it the tournament for a reason. They're one of the top 68 teams in the country for a reason. They're here. So, we can't look past anybody at this point. We got to make sure that we're focusing, especially defensively, on our P's and Q's.
Yeah, seeing what we saw on film, they move the ball really well. They move off the ball. They pass the ball. They cut. They do a lot of things really well. And I think for us, being a defensive-minded group, leading the Pac-12 in defense, it's just good that we go back to our basics. And I think that's what we've been working on, our basics, our fundamentals, just doing what we naturally do best and just simplifying the game a lot more and just pressuring all around.
Pressure. Apply pressure.
Other questions for the student athletes? Okay, ladies, thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
guys.
tomorrow. And a reminder that a recording of this press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts will also be provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Our next press conference will begin at 12:25 p.m. with Iowa head coach Lisa Bluter.